All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Excellent Teen Choices Community Builders Coalition first annual Chat and Chew. This is a forum where you, the people, come up with your questions and we give them to our local administrators. We thank you all for coming here today and taking time of your busy schedule. We know the train came a little late, came a little early, and put us all behind, but we're going to go ahead and start. All right, we're going to go ahead and introduce our panelists for today. First, we have Dr. Glenn Hambrick, who is superintendent here at Carthage ISD. He graduated from Groveton High School, got his bachelor's at East Texas Baptist University, his master's at Stephen F. Austin University, his PhD from Sam Houston State University, and he's been our superintendent here at Carthage since 2008. Next, we have Mr. Otis Amy. He's assistant principal at Levy Elementary. He is a Carthage High School graduate. He has 13 years as an administrator, 11 years as high school principal, 2 as assistant high school principal, 6 years as athletic coordinator. He received his Bachelor of Arts and Master of Arts from Austin College. He received his Bachelor of Arts also from East Texas Theological Seminary and his Master of Arts from the University of Texas at Tyler. Next we have Mrs. Stacy Davis, principal at Levy Elementary. She graduated from Carthage High School, class of 18. She graduated from Panola College with her Associate of Arts and got her Bachelor of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies and Master of Education from the University of Texas at Tyler. She has 25 years of total experience in education, 16 years teaching at Carthage Junior High, 1 year principal at CISD Pace Academy, 3 years as assistant principal at Carthage High School, and this is her 5th year at Levy Elementary. Next we have Mr. Mike Basinger, principal at Pace Academy. He attended South Oak Cliff High School in Dallas and was later bused to Dallas Kimball, where he graduated. He attended East Texas State University for 3 years, then transferred to Eastern New Mexico State University, where he earned his Bachelor of Science and his Master of Science. He later attended Texas A&M Texarkana, where he received his principal's degree. This is his 37th year in education and his 15th year as high school principal. Next we have Ms. Clarinda Collins. She's a principal at Baker Coons Intermediate School. She's a Carthage High School graduate. She received her bachelor's degree from UT Tyler, her master's degree from University of Phoenix. She has 6 years of experience as assistant principal, and she is beginning her first year as principal at Baker Coons Baker Coons Intermediate School. Next we have Mr. Jason Harris. He's principal at Carthage High School. He's a graduate of Linden Kildare High School, Linden, Texas. He received his bachelor's from Wichita Baptist University, Bachelor of Science, his master's from Texas A&M University. His certifications include teacher certification, principal certification, and superintendent certification. Mr. Harris has been administrator for Carthage High School, Baker Coons, and Texas High School. Last but not least, we have Mrs. Kylie Schumacher, who is principal at Carthage Primary. She's a Carthage High School graduate. She graduated from Panola College with her associate's degree. She received her bachelor's and master's degrees from the University of Texas at Tyler. She has her superintendent certification as well. She's been administrator since 2005 when she became assistant principal at Carthage Primary School and Levy Elementary. She's been principal at Carthage Primary School since 2009, and she is beginning her 13th year in public school administration. Let's give our panelists a hand for the very many applicants. Thank you all for coming out again. I am very proud of all your accomplishments. I hope to live up to at least a little bit of what you all have accomplished. Next, we're going to go ahead and turn this over to our moderator, Mr. Eric Love, who he comes with us with 20 years of experience as a life coach, a mentor, and a facilitator. He has his bachelor's degree in Christian psychology from the Texas Institute of Biblical Studies. He is a 12-year military veteran and he pastors a New Birth Fellowship Church in Kilgore, Texas. He has completed his first year with excellent teen choice and has established a positive reputation with local teens and community throughout East Texas. Let's give our moderator a hand.
Thank you. Now let's celebrate Brother AJ. He always does a magnificent job facilitating. And thank you, Pam. I know that today it was a busy day, as all days are for you guys. So it means a lot that you took the time out of your schedule to be here. To all of you who are guests who are here, thank all of you guys for being here. Today's one of those days where whenever you have 6 principals and a superintendent in the same room, you've either done something really bad or you've done something really good. And today we would like to think that we've done something really good by pulling this panel together. As you came in, you should have received a little 3x5 card. If not, we'll make sure that you get one. In the course of this discussion that we're having with the panel, if you have a question, feel free to jot that question down on that little index card and pass those to me. I'll make sure that at the end of the discussion that we have with our panel, we'll make sure that those questions are read to the panel so that your questions can be answered. Is that fair enough? All right, let's get started. To the panel, again, thank you guys for being here. My first question, I think there's 2 mics, so feel free to pass those mics around. As I mentioned earlier, the sooner you guys answer the questions, so don't be shy, the quicker we can get on, because I think we've got some hamburgers or something that we're going to eat after this, so we want to move expeditiously, so don't be shy. I know oftentimes the perception of what happens in the school, let me say it like this, oftentimes public perception does not always represent schoolhouse reality. Many times because parents are working and people are working, they don't oftentimes know what's happening in the school. And so today is an awesome opportunity for us to actually take a sneak peek into the classroom, into the halls of these schools based on the principal's perspective. Most principals have a bird's eye view of what's happening on their campuses. So we have the awesome opportunity today to talk to them and pick their brain to hear about what's going on. Now, this particular form is being recorded today so that anyone who missed it will be able to pick it up, or they'll be able to see it on one of our social networks. So that's actually a good thing. So to our panel, as principals and superintendents, what do you view as your most important contribution in the daily operation of your school? As you walk the halls, when you show up in the morning, what is the thing that you say that when I leave, I make sure that this one thing happens on a daily basis? What is that for you? Anyone feel free to answer. Okay, the person closest to the mic answer.
Well, every morning we start, hey, it's a new day. You know, I'm always on the mic, like Monday. Today's going to be a good day. The dogs won and the Cowboys won. So it was a good day. Well, when I walk down the halls, I walk in the classroom, seeing the smiles, giving positives, making sure we have a safe and nurturing environment. Because we don't know. I had a student this morning, he wanted to only talk to me. So he came in and he told me about his mom in jail. Wow. So we talked about that and I said, but don't let that spoil your day. Yeah. That's an adult, you're the child. You do what you need to do to have a successful day. Yeah. So making sure that they have that nurturing environment.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Oftentimes we forget that students oftentimes have wonderful relationships with the principals. I know that when I was in school, I was a bad kid, so I didn't like the principal. Now, I'm only kidding, I promise, I'm only kidding. I was a pretty good kid. But we forget about that sometimes, that students oftentimes do have a wonderful relationship with the principals. Someone else.
Well, just to piggyback off Ms. Collins, you know, I think a key part of success to our day is to be visible. And we do walk the halls quite a bit. We don't stay behind closed doors. And we go through and we visit a lot with kids and staff members. And I think constantly being available to everyone is a key part in being successful. I also think that it also starts during the summer for me when I'm designing a schedule. I think that I have to make sure that Prime learning time is considered. I think that it's important that we have common planning time. I think all of that goes into being a successful campus for everyone involved.
Now, when you say planning a schedule, help us, because we're not in your shoes. What does that mean? Who are you planning a schedule for?
Well, and the elementary campus, it's much different than what Mr. Harris has to go through at the high school. It's two totally different things. For me, on my campus, we team teach, and so I'm having to look at a second grade schedule and a third grade schedule. I figure out half the day in the ELA social studies classroom, half of the day in math and science classroom. We also have to work in music and PE, have to work in recess, have to work in computer lab time, library time, science lab time. So I'm having to take part or take into consideration all of the students, all of the staff available, intervention time with our paraprofessionals.
Wow.
So it's a big deal. With Mr. Harris, I'm sure he can elaborate on his because, he has it's a totally different animal. But at the elementary level, we're working at making sure that our teachers also have that extra planning time. So with team teaching, what we do is we try to have the whole, not necessarily a grade level planning time, but we have all of the math teachers planning at the same time.
Oh, wow.
All of the language arts teachers planning at the same time, which really helps.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, that's good. That helps us build a perspective. Because when I was in school, the principal just walked around on a paddle. That's what he did all day. Yeah, but it's good to know that schedules are being made and things like that are happening. That's really good. Mr. Harris, if you will just jump in there. Tell us about your schedule.
Well, the biggest difference, me coming from elementary the last 6 years back to high school, is lots and lots. We still do the core classes, but you add into that all the extracurriculars that go into that, the co-curriculars and the career technology classes. So we have an 8-period day. We have dual credit courses where we're sending students to Nola College during the day.
Oh, wow.
Of course, we have athletics, band, many different programs in career and technologies, and trying to mesh that into a schedule where you have 800 kids. It's definitely a challenge. We have 2 great counselors that do the start scheduling. Actually, they start the spring before the next school year, start doing that. And it is a huge puzzle that we try to put together. And we try to make it where every kid that wants to take the course is able to do that. You can't do that 100% of the time, but that's our goal.
Sure.
And also trying to advise kids on, this is the path you need to take. They give us an idea of what they want to do, and we give them the requirements to do that. But to mesh that, it's really a challenge, but it's something that, our counselors do a great job of.
Good. It's good to know and good to hear that. Mr. Basinger, your schedule may be a little bit different. Mr. Basinger is now the principal at Pace Academy. So what value do you bring to the table, or what's the thing that you feel like every day I have to make sure this happens at Pace?
Well, let me say something first about what Ms. Collins said. One of the things that's very important that we as principals do with our staff and students that make us effective is develop relationships. If we develop strong relationships with our staff and students, then it makes our job that much easier. It makes their job that much easier. It cuts down on discipline. It cuts down on attendance. It cuts down on so many of the negative things that we don't want to take place in the school system. So relationships, everybody on this panel here will tell you that's one of the most important things that we do. As far as the Pace Academy, our biggest responsibility is to maintain the level of academics that the students will be receiving in their regular classroom. The other thing is also to maintain a certain level of discipline that is beyond what was in the normal school setting, because they don't have the ability to socialize with their friends as much as they would if they were not in. And PACE is basically made up of DAEP, which is the Disciplinary Alternative Educational Placement Center. And it's very crucial that the kids also learn from each other and from people like yourself who come in and counsel them on how to better equip themselves for better decision making, which is one of the things that got them there was the poor decisions to begin with. And so it's so important that relationships are built, that we communicate well with the students, even though we don't allow them to communicate too much with each other, and that each one of the teachers there are very helpful on a one-on-one basis with the student to maintain their education, and also to prepare them to get back into the environment they came from in a better social situation than what they left.
Sure, very good. Thank you for sharing that. Dr. Hambrick, I'll end this questioning with you. Give us a bird's eye view of a superintendent's perspective. Daily, what is the thing that you make sure happens every day? Or what's the thing that's important to you as far as your staff and the students that they serve?
Well, I guess my number one duty and job is to make sure that we hire good people and then let them do their job. And that's what we try to do. We try to put good people in place, monitor, but give them a certain amount of freedom and leeway to make sure that the mission of the school is being accomplished. You know, you mentioned earlier about the difference between perception and reality. You know, I often or have heard in the past, I really haven't heard it much lately, but sometimes you hear that all those kids are just running the halls and running wild and stuff like that. And, you know, that bothers me when I hear that, because I'm on the campuses enough to know that that's not true. And I could go down the high school hall while class is going on, and it's like a ghost town. You wouldn't even know anyone's in the school. All the kids are in class changed. There's 800 kids moving at the same time. They go out and visit for a little while. The first bell rings, they start heading for class, and by the time the target bell rings, they're there. I think sometimes when people come to the school for events, say they came to a pep rally, well, obviously there's going to be, prior to the pep rally, kids getting ready for it, and there is a lot of movement going around. But on a regular basis, the perception that kids are not in class or running around is absolutely not true. I have to commend all of these principals and assistant principals and teachers for, you know, just providing a very orderly environment for the kids. My wife has come from a different school recently, and she's very impressed with the way that the schools are run, and even more impressed with the type of kids that we have in the school. She's just really, and unless you've been somewhere else, you can't really appreciate the quality of the kids that we have here. And of course, that makes our job much easier when you've got great kids to work with.
Very good. Very good. Y'all give them a hand. That was a great line of questioning. That's a great answer. Great answer. I'll start this line of questioning, and Mr. Amy, if you will, lead the charge on this one. This is being recorded, and so there are parents probably all over this area that's actually going to hear these answers. So this question is very important. So I'll start with you, Mr. Amy, and I'll go to you, Ms. Schumacher. Did I say that correct? Okay. All right. Tell us what is expected from the parents of these children. As a principal, if there was one message that you would like to get to the parents of these children, these students, what would that message be?
To promote education at home and to support the school.
Support how? How can they promote and support? Define that just a little bit.
By being available.
Okay.
You promote education by having a schedule, setting aside time with your child where you're going to review what happened at school, what they learned, what's coming up. Just being active in that educational life.
Very good.
as far as promoting the school, back to school.
What does that look like, though? What does that look like? What does that look like when you say back to school? Because there's a parent out there that says, that's my alma mater. I do back to school, but maybe they don't understand it from a principal's perspective.
Don't make, there's more than one side of the story. A lot of times the story that you hear at home, you don't have the full picture. So don't jump to the conclusion until you have talked to that principal or that teacher. Because going back to question number one, to me, one of the most important contributions that we as principals have is decision making. And we have to think analytically and conceptually. We have to realize how A affects B and how A and B affect C and the possible consequences it can have on D.
Yeah. Very much. Very much. Very good answer. Very good answer.
That's what we would like parents to promote, educate. Education is a great equalizer. So we need help promoting education at home.
Good. So promote education and support the school or to back the school.
Yes.
And to know that there's two sides to that coin.
Yes.
So the first message that they hear, actually come and do a little research and find out exactly what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah. I like what Dr. Hambrick said a minute ago. You're right, because I've had the wonderful opportunity to teach in probably every school district in East Texas, to guest teach in every school district. And I have been very impressed when I came to Carthage, just to see the integrity of the staff, just the way the kids are behaved. I've been really impressed with that as well. So you're right. Ms. Schumacher.
Well, one thing that I think it starts at the home in terms of, I have 4, 5, and 6-year-olds on my campus, so it's really important, and it's important for every child, that they get a good breakfast, that they get a good meal at night, that they get a good sleep, get a good night's rest. We can see, it's evidence when we get kids out of the car in the morning, when we get kids off the bus in the morning, if they don't have on socks, if they've dressed themselves, if they haven't had breakfast, if they didn't get a good night's sleep. And so it starts from there. Getting that support from home and just getting them a really good routine at home is key, in my opinion, to building the things that we need to build upon at school. It's really hard for a kid to learn when he doesn't have the tools he needs in his toolbox, starting with a good night's sleep and food in his belly. The second thing I would say is being a good communicator with the teacher. Like Otis said, a lot of times they take for granted, or they take maybe a child's word for it, or they take what they see on Facebook at face value, and they don't take the time to call us or to communicate with the teacher to find out maybe the true or the full story.
Sure.
So at Carthage Primary, what we do is we have a communication device. We have a Bulldog notebook that goes home every day, and that's an easy device between teacher and home, whether there is a note that needs to be shared, whether there's an issue that needs to be addressed, even checking a child's behavior chart. And when we see those things come back and there's not a signature one for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Wow.
When we see the paperwork that we sent home on Monday still in the backpack on Thursday, that's a pretty good indication that the parent's not as engaged with what's going on at school. They get the kid to school and that's it, and they get the kid back from school, but there's no, they just don't appear to be that interested.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking, but that's so true. So
Absolutely.
True. So true. Someone else, a message to the parents. You don't have a message for the parents. Again, this is being recorded, so they're listening. Message to the parents. What do we say to the parents? Anyone else?
Let me just say this, I don't need it.
Well, we want to record it, so if you don't
Okay.
mind. Yeah,
All right.
if you don't mind.
I'm going to give you an example that's kind of unique. There's a cartoon that I used to have hanging when I was principal in Dangerfield and then principal here at Hooks. Carson didn't when I was at Hooks, and I've carried it with me. And it shows a picture of two parents and their child confronting their teacher in 1969. And the child is cowering down, and the parents are holding up the report card to the kid and looking at the teacher and saying, "What is my son not doing that his grades are any better than this?" And the parents are supporting the teacher. Then again, you go to the next picture, and it's 2005, that's how old it is. But now, the parents are standing there fuming at the teacher, holding their report card up to the teacher, screaming at her, she's counting down, and the kid's standing there going, see who's supporting who. So what we as administrators and teachers need from all parents is that reality check that, like for instance, one of the biggest questions I used to get was, I want to move my child out of so-and-so's class because they're not doing very good. Well, when you got 7 or 8 zeros and you hadn't turned in your assignments in 3 weeks, you're not going to be doing very good. But when that parent calls and is real upset and does not have that truth, as everyone is talking about, it's so important for, like I said, that principal to tell that parent and get that parent up there face to face and have a discussion and say, look, here's what the situation is. Your child's not done this, hasn't done that, whatever the case may be. Let's see why. Let's bring the child in, get to the bottom of this, and see if we can give that teacher some help, give you some support so that we can have that child be successful. So, like the old saying goes, it takes a community to raise a child, and so that's so very true. And that community needs to really work hard on communication with each other and for education to be successful.
Good, very good. Thank you for that. Ms. Schumacher makes a valid point, and that kind of segues to my next question. You mentioned that you send notebooks. There's some paperwork that goes in a notebook that goes home to the parent. So my question to you as principals and educators, how do you communicate with the parents? Tell me something that has been non-effective and something that has been effective in your ability to let the parent know what's happening with that student. Somebody please respond to that. How do you do it?
I think the most effective form of communication is pick up the phone and have a phone call conversation with a parent. That's the most effective. One way that's not very effective is sending things home for a parent signature. Although that works in a lot of cases, we get a lot of things that are signed by, we don't know who they were signed by. They do come back signed, but we don't know who signed it. So that's probably the least effective way, but a phone call, a face-to-face communication, that's always the best. Because then you're able to give them the whole picture of what's going on in both sides of the story.
Is that how difficult is that as a principal? If you got 1,000 kids, 800 kids. How do you do that? How does that system work? I mean, does that child have to be at a certain disciplinary level before they get a phone call? How does that work? Because I'm sure that there's a parent out there that's watching or listening right now saying, well, I didn't know my child was in trouble until they was being kicked out of school. If somebody had just told me, I would have done something. So what's been that communication gap? Where's the gap?
Well, one thing that we have said from day one, and Ms. Collins is laughing, Ms. Collins was my assistant for several years, and we told our teachers, do not send a student to the office and check persistent misbehavior and let Ms. Collins call and the parents say, well, we had no idea. So usually it starts with the teachers. The teachers will make the phone call home first before it ever gets to the principal's office.
Very good.
So, and just like Ms. Schumacher said, we also have a Bulldog binder at Libby, and that is a great communication tool.
Sure.
It goes home every single day, and parents are welcome to send notes back and forth through that binder, and we do as well. We send notes there. Another thing, talking about telephone numbers, it's so important because phone numbers change. To please notify us when phone numbers change, because we start calling and phones have been disconnected or changed, and then that makes it difficult on us to try to find folks sometimes.
Very good, very good. So whoever's got the internet, I hope y'all heard that, parents. Make sure that when you change your phone number, that you call the school and make sure that they get that. Before I get your answer, She did beautifully. She did beautifully. Okay, so do you guys find that the Bulldog binder, that it works better in the earlier grades than it does with the older? Will you say that? Yeah.
I can't speak, I can just speak for the elementary, but I would assume so. I realize that they're probably not gonna sign stuff or have stuff signed when they're 14. I have a 14-year-old myself. But I will tell you, at our level, there's usually an incentive when the kids do get things signed. The kids are excited about reading to their mom or dad or big brother, and big brother or mom or dad or whoever can sign their reading log, and then if they sign, you know, all week, they get to go to the treasure box. So there's usually some type of tangible. We realize that 14-year-olds don't like stickers, but a 4-year-old does like a sticker. So at my level, it works really good. To piggyback on the phone calls though, because we do know that kids don't like to take naughty notes home. We find them a lot of times shoved under the bus seat, or they're stuck behind the bookshelf in the classroom. So anytime a kid comes to the office at Carthage Primary School, whether it be in my office or the assistant principal's office, for whatever the case is, I mean, even if it's just for me to talk to the child, I go ahead and follow up with a phone call home to mom or dad, just so they know, hey, I talked to your son today about this. I'm not asking you to do anything. I handled it, but I just want you to know.
Very good, very good. Y'all give them a hand. Very, very good answer. Very good answer. Let's change the page just a little bit. Now we all know that kids never do anything wrong, especially when they get in trouble. They never do anything wrong. And so the message when they get home is, I didn't do anything. I've been privileged to go over to Pace for a couple of days and just kind of talk to some of the kids a little bit, just kind of keep them encouraged, and that's been the thing. I didn't do anything. They lied on me. It wasn't me, it was my friend. Yeah? So, I mean, consistently, every kid has said that. Wow. So principal, what can the parents expect by way of discipline? What should the parents expect when what is the discipline chain, as it were? What's the first tier and the second tier or third tier? Tell us what discipline looks like at your campus, so when our kids are in that particular tier, we have an idea of why they're there.
How far they've gotten?
Well, that's going to vary. That's going to vary from campus to campus. The best thing to do is look at the student handbook for that particular campus and look at the code of conduct.
Very good.
And that'll give them a matrix of our disciplinary system.
Right. So they're not going to do that. So just generalize it and just kind of help us, because the reality is that most parents are not going to go look at that. When that kid comes home and says, I didn't do anything, you know, they put me out of class, I don't know what's going on, I was minding my own business. And so, like you guys are saying, they're gonna come back, they're gonna take it at face value, and those parents are gonna come up and say, why is this teacher picking on my student? Why was he kicked out of class? All he did was get up and walk to the pencil sharpener. That's all he did. Not realizing that he was already in this particular tier of discipline.
Well, in generally speaking, minor offenses, those are going to be usually warnings, parent contact. More severe offenses will be OCS, DAEP placement, and even more severe incidents will be expulsion.
What is DEAP? What is that?
Disciplinary education, disciplinary alternative education program.
So that's like PACE?
Yes.
Like PACE. Okay, so if a student goes to on-campus suspension, how is the parent informed? Or do they know that their child is in
Yes, but the principal will call them.
Okay. Is anybody else?
Well, on BK campus, step one, that's the teacher's actions. And before they come to the office, there are steps they have to do. Verbal warning, taking something away from the student that they like to do. Maybe computer time on Fridays. That student won't get a chance to do that. The third one would be a parent-teacher conference. And they have to document they've had that conference or that phone call, and they have to actually talk to somebody. They can't say, well, I called and they didn't answer. That doesn't work. You have to talk. And then after that they will tell that parent the next step will be the office. And once they come to the office, I have steps. My first step would be, I'll always call a parent. Okay, such as in my office, first step, lunch detention or one SWAT.
Wow.
Okay, so step one has been done in the office. Step 2's next, so we just go down there. There are some times that the steps won't be followed, serious infractions, or let's say he threw carrots all in the cafeteria or something. So we went in and picked the carrots back up, something like that. But there are certain steps, and they are notified each step.
Very good, very good. I think it's important for the parents to know that an effort was made on the school's behalf to reach out to them. I think sometimes that's kind of been that loophole, especially when numbers change or the call didn't get returned. Those calls don't get returned, a message didn't get listened to. So I think it's important for the public to know that that the school did make every effort to reach out to that parent. Were you going to chime in?
Well, I just think as a parent, I think, because I'm a parent, I think it should be comforting to know that we all have discipline management plans. And so we all have stats. And I think that it's very important to be firm, fair, and consistent. And I think that's what you'll find in all of our plans. And I think as long as we follow the student code of conduct and we all hold true to being firm, fair, and consistent, then I think everyone should be happy. You know, I do think that holds true among all of our plans.
Very good, very good. Now, thank you guys. Very, very good answer. Very good answer. And I think that the public is going to be especially enriched by your answers. Now this question I think is on behalf of the teachers. Oftentimes now, as hard as principals work to form lasting and good relationships with the teachers and the people that you guys govern, oftentimes that doesn't always happen. So how can a teacher, or what are the steps, as it were, for a teacher that just wants to say, hey, I feel like I'm being treated unfairly, or a teacher that says, hey, listen, my principal's doing an amazing job, and I want to get them a $10,000 a year raise. So all right, so Mr. Hambrick, they're actually throwing you under the bus, so that's okay. Well, yeah, there's a lot of buses in the car. You get a call from a teacher that says, hey, look, I feel like I'm being treated unfairly. This is happening, different things. So what are your steps in that regard?
Well, there are procedures in place and a process in place. I have to say that those calls are rare. But occasionally there is a teacher that's not happy with the way an assignment was made or their duties, and of course in every case we ask that they have they visited with their supervisor, their principal. If they haven't, it's just like if a parent calls and has upset with a teacher or a principal, and we ask, have you visited with them? And they say no. We ask them to go visit with them first.
Very good.
Once they do, we rarely hear from them again because what they find out is things were not as they perceived them to be. The same would be with the teacher making a call. Once they've had a chance to visit with the principal, most of the time those issues get worked out. It is interesting, though, that we spend a lot of time talking about discipline. And the reality is, as principals, we spend a lot of time dealing with discipline. At the same time, we're only talking about maybe 3, 4, 5% of our students.
Good point, very good point.
And that 95+% of our students are model students and do what they're supposed to be doing. And if you call their parents, because on the rare occasion their child might get in trouble, they're very supportive of the principal or the teacher, and that problem gets corrected pretty quickly. Usually when we have issues with that small percentage that we do spend a lot of time with, a lot of times the parents aren't as supportive, because it's amazing to me that a child comes to school and is so disruptive at school and are perfect angels at home.
Right, that's right.
I find that hard to believe that is actually the reality of it, but the reality, of course, is that most of our students are really, really good kids, and they're a joy to be around. That's the reason we all got in this profession, is we really enjoy being around those kids, and that's the reason our teachers get in the profession. It's not because they make a lot of money, it's because they have a passion for kids. And we tell them that all the time. If you don't have a passion for kids, then you need to find something where you can do something different. Because if you don't love kids, this is not the place for you.
It's not the place. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. No, very good answer, and very good point. That you mentioned that 90 or 95% of our kids are actually good kids, and you're right about that. Grandmama used to say the squeaky wheel is the one that gets the grease. Yeah. So you're absolutely correct about that. And that needs to be noted. It needs to be said. It needs to be said more often. It needs to be yelled so people can understand that most of our kids are doing what they're supposed to do. So very good point. Thank you for sharing that. Here's a good question. It says, more and more schools are becoming community centers. How are principals reaching out to stakeholders in the public and private sectors? How are principals reaching out to stakeholders in the public and private sectors? Who wants to jump in on that question? Okay, let's go to the next one. No. Who wants to chime in on that?
Well, I can.
Okay.
This year, we're implementing on Baker Coos campus, Communities in School. It was a grant with the state where Asha Brown, she's our campus. We have Vanna White over there. Our campus liaison, where she'll get a chance to work with at-risk students. We have a mentoring program that we're going to implement, so that's going to entail with the community, and Mr. Love is ready, he'll probably be on that mentoring program. So she's going to incorporate a lot of things dealing with the at-risk students at BK.
Very good, very good. Anyone else like to chime in on this? Okay, we do have, Ms. Vanna told us that we got 10 minutes. So what we're going to do, at this time, if you have any questions, if you'll please pass those questions to me. Are you going to collect those? Raise your hand if you have written down a question. We want to receive those questions from you. We've got one question. Is there another? Is there any other questions? If you have a question, write it down on that little card, and we'll make sure that question, that your question gets asked, and that you get the answer that you seek. We want to make sure that we give some time for that. I'll take that. Yeah. We don't know who gave this question. Yeah, he actually wrote his name on the top. All right, this question, he has two questions. Question number one, what resources in the district are available to assist needy children in your school? Let me say that again. What resources in the district are available to assist needy children in your schools? What are the resources for needy children?
Well, the Lion Club, glasses, if students need glasses, the Lion Club contributes glasses for those students.
Very good, very good. I didn't know that. That's good. What else?
And I'm not sure if everyone knows, but at Carthage Primary and at Libby, we provide breakfast in the classroom. It's free of charge. And so everyone who comes through our school, breakfast is served in the classroom every day. So that is also available to everyone who wants it.
Very good. Are there any other needs that you see that the kids have that's being met?
Well, let me say this too. Sometimes we forget that we find individual needs on our campuses. And when I was principal at the junior high, we would raise money, our teachers ourselves, and we would donate that money or give that money to our counselor. Our counselor would find the needs of that child, whether it be shoes, socks, underwear, whatever the case may be, and we would go buy it and supply ourselves because we don't have a particular fund for that. So there was enough heart in the teachers in my school, and most of them realized the need when they would see the kid, and we would just make donations ourselves, and I'm sure every campus does that, and then we would supply those needs as best as we could.
That's very good. So at this point, if a kid needed, I think I heard someone mention that they show up with no socks, and maybe they've got socks at home, I'm sure, but maybe there are some kids that don't have a coat or something like that. So at this point, there's nothing in the district that helps support that. Not saying that that's
Right.
that's the district's job, but just a question: is there anything currently available for those children?
Well, this is a very broad
Sure, sure.
area when you're talking about kids in need. And
Very right.
we have, as was mentioned, lunch programs. We have a summer feeding program. We have those type of programs. We have our teachers are always available to stay and tutor kids. I know there's an after-school program in the community which we support, and as well as the community supports.
Yeah.
So we have some of those available. At the same time, our funding is restricted, and when I say restricted, some monies can only be spent on certain things, and so we have to make sure we stay in compliance with the law also. But there are federal programs that assist in some of these areas, and we certainly take advantage of it.
Yes. Ms. Collins actually mentioned community in schools. I think to a great degree, agencies or programs like that do a great job of getting those kids connected with agencies that are out, maybe not necessarily inside the school district, but inside the city, that can actually help those kids in those regards as well. So that's very good, very good. Number two.
Before we leave that one,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
let's clarify needs. Because we may not address that because we didn't talk about academic needs. Ask the person.
I think that was the second question.
Oh, that's the second.
Yeah, I think you get to the academic.
All right.
Yeah. He said, what resources do you have to help less effective parents help our children perform better? So now we're talking about the academic need, that 3 to 5% of students. What resources do you have to help us less effective parents help our children perform better?
I can answer that to some extent. At Carthage Primary School, we receive Title I funds, and with those funds, we have several instructional aides who help our children throughout the day. Each of those aides are assigned to different classrooms, and they work with kids in small groups for an hour each day. So in that hour, they might see 10 to 15 kids, and then they go to the next class and they work with another group of 10 to 15 kids who either one, maybe the parent didn't have time to read with them the night before, or study sight words, or study spelling words. And so that's certainly one avenue that we can help those kids academically. In addition to that, we have some additional interventions, like we have a teacher who specializes in reading intervention, we have dyslexia intervention, and so those things are in place to help kids who are academically struggling.
Okay, very good. Someone else. How do we help the parents? Or is there a way to help the parents? Is there a way to help them? I think this question may be twofold. Because it says the resource we have to help us parents help our children. How can we help the parents help the children? Is there anything in place, or are there any resources for that? So thank you, Ms. Schumacher, for reminding us that those tutors are there. No, that was a great answer. Because most parents don't realize that, they don't know that. Yeah, so it was a great answer.
I do know that some teachers will have a parent-teacher conference, but it's to help the parent learn the skills. That happened a couple of times last year at Liddy. The parent said she didn't understand the math, so she came up and she was tutored by that teacher to go back and teach the students. Also, we have star nights that we have for the parents to come up and get all the information, and they get packets that they can help their child or students with at home.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I never even considered that. Yeah, go get tutored. So now I don't want to take up a lot of time on this, but is that common? Does that happen a lot? I mean, does that happen? Where parents come up to be tutored on something to help their kid? Does that happen a lot?
I would say that's.
When you pass Ms. Schumacher, she wants to answer that.
Well, not really. I'm just saying that because the academic rigor has gotten harder, we are seeing that more and more. I can even take you just in kindergarten. When I went to kindergarten, my mom probably sent me to kindergarten to learn to cut a straight line, color really neat. I mean, that was kind of our, that was the name of the game. Now, when our kindergartners leave kindergarten, they need to be reading. And so that's a learning curve for parents because some parents aren't familiar with that. Yeah. And so, yes, I will say that even just to, again, piggyback on Florinda, I had a parent just last week, we have a new phonics program where kids are truly learning all of the vowel consonant rules and all of the things that build our words and our language. And the parents, I literally had a daddy come to me and he says, I do not have a clue what he's bringing home. He's putting these lines and these symbols above these words, above these letters, and so we had to explain to him that's part of our new phonics program. That line means that vowel's going to have a long vowel sound, or that line means that vowel's going to have a short vowel sound. He's like, I didn't even know vowels had two different sounds. I mean, it is a very big learning curve, especially with education, with the standards being raised.
Well, that's good to know that parents have that option, that they can come and receive that tutoring. And so give a big thank you to all of your teachers for doing that, because I know that can be a chore. Real quick, we have about 3 minutes left. Just a couple more questions. And this says, for a student being hearing impaired, what does the school offer to help him succeed? A hearing impaired student. Hearing impaired. It's okay to say this to the mic so we all can hear it.
Looks great.
We've got hearing impaired students at our campus, and we have outside sources that come in and work with those kiddos, those hearing impaired, all the students there. We have a pull-out program where they bring them in, work with them. Sometimes it's working with them just on the equipment, just on learning how to use the equipment that they use with the hearing aids, and some of them have cochlear implants and things like that. And then they come and monitor our students and just talk to them about what are you having trouble with. Then they also will go with the teacher and say, here's what the student's struggling with. And teachers, we have teachers that wear microphones that they're able to hear what those kids are able to hear them then with those microphones. So.
Good. Now, is that interpreter usually sponsored by the school, or that parents own individual insurance? How does that work?
That's a school.
School, wow, okay, well, that's good. Well, that's a good answer, good to know that. Next question. Parent portal, how is that being encouraged, or is it being encouraged, the parent portal?
Well, it's being encouraged at the high school in this way. All the high school parents hopefully got a letter with all the login, your login information in order to log in. One thing that I've noticed at the high school, and it's very effective, is giving those, like my own personal children have parent, they can look at parent portal, they can stare into the grade book just like I can. So they have an up-to-date, real-time grade. We ask our teachers to update the grade book every Tuesday. So Tuesday before you go home, teachers load the grade book. That way, every Wednesday morning, if you're a parent, you get a real-time update on your grade. And in Parent Portal, you not only see the grade, but you can click on and look at the assignments. You can see if your child has missed an assignment. Of course, if you have low grades on certain things, then you would have a better way to ask a teacher. You know, I see my child made a failing grade on this assignment. Can you tell me why? So it's very informative, and we want all parents to be on Parent Portal. And we hopefully have given them the information in order to get on that.
Now, you mentioned that there's written instruction that's being sent home. Beyond that, is the school offering any hands-on instructions? Because there are some parents who have difficulty logging on and working that system.
Yes, that's one of the first things we do when a parent calls up and checking on grades. We ask them is, are you on Parent Portal? If they say, well, I've tried to get on, but I can't, then the next thing we do, we say, if you'll come up here, come down to the counselor's office, we will show you how to get on Parent Portal, how to access it, and how to even establish your own Parent Portal code. So that you can see this. And that way they can have firsthand information about their students whenever they like. And like Mr. Harris said, at the high school is once a week, minimum once a week, we have the teachers adjust their grades in Parent Portal so that the parents can keep up, know when they change and how they're going to adapt to it. And that way, if they have a question about on Wednesday, they know they should have updated grades, but they don't, then they can email the teacher, they can call the teacher, they can call the counselor, they can call the principal, whoever they want to get in touch with, and they can get an answer to the update. And sometimes the update is just because the child didn't turn something in on time, but they at least get an answer.
Very good.
That way.
Very good. And after hours, I'm sure that they can call and set up an appointment, and someone will be there to help them. So that's good. That's good that for parents to know that. And I think this is our last and final question. It says, in your opinion, what are some of the most effective ways that you would love to see communities support their public schools? What are some ways that you would love to see communities support their public schools? Okay. Movie.
Well, just like tonight, be involved.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The way you support the school is be involved. Contact the teacher, and you don't have to have kids in school to support the school. We have a lot of community members that love the school, graduated from here, their kids graduated from here. They want to do something. We have community members that will come up and read. I know on some of the lower campuses, they have days dedicated, set aside for community members to come up and read to kids.
Wow.
And that works really well. We have community leaders, people that are involved in the community that people know. If they come out, those kids recognize those folks, and the fact that they would take their time to come and read to a classroom is very important. So there are a lot of ways to get involved, but find a way to get involved.
Very good, very good. All right, y'all, that ends our questioning. Will y'all help me give a great round of applause to our panel? They've done an amazing job today. Real quick, just a couple announcements. We know that the hurricane has happened, and so Excellent Teen Choice has set up a flood relief drop-off location at Excellent Teen Choice office on 109 North Mary Street, beside the flower shop. And so if you would like to contribute to the hurricane flood relief, you can drop off hygiene products, unused, mouthwash, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush, socks, soap, shampoo, lotion. We'll accept monetary donations to purchase items, and receipt will be given upon that donation. So again, if you want to donate to the hurricane flood relief, you can do so there at Excellent Teen Choice. Also, there's a new movie coming out entitled Downsize. It says, divorcing seems simple, but letting go might be harder. This is Michelle McKissick, I hope I'm saying that right, from Arlington. She has produced, or she'll be helping with this movie, and it airs on TV1 on Saturday, September the 16th at 8:00 p.m. So go see the movie Downsize and make sure that you watch that. All right, at this time, Miss Zaya, am I saying that right? Miss Zaya Brown has some certificates to offer. So y'all give Miss Zaya a great big round of applause. You need a microphone, Miss Zaya? She said, no, this is gonna be simple. Yeah, it's not gonna be hard. Y'all give Miss Schumacher a hand, give her a hand, Congratulations. Give Mr. Harris a hand. Thank you, Mr. Harris. Please come on this schedule to be here. Give Miss Collins a hand. Thank you, Miss Collins. Thank you, Dr. Hambrick. Oh, oh, she's so well spoken. Thank you, Miss Davis. You didn't catch her age?
Don't kill Otis.
Mr. A, all right, y'all give everybody a hand. Great job, you guys. I also want to give a special thank you to Miss Sharon. Will y'all give Miss Sharon a hand? She's done a great job putting all this together. Any closing remarks, any final words? Just come and say something to us, and then, yeah, so we can go eat.
Okay, thank you all for coming tonight. This is a product of the Community Coalition Builders.
Community Builders Coalition.
To all of you, thank you for coming and taking out the time. Dr. Hambrick, we really appreciate it. We know you have a busy schedule, commanding all of these, so we appreciate you coming. And also for Turner Alumni Association, they had a great part to do with this, so let's give them a hand. I was told that it's possible that we may have started a little early, so next time we may consider doing this at 6 o'clock. So, but we hope you come back. We're hoping to have more and more chatting shoes. And Turner has prepared dinner for us, so you can choose, chat, whatever you want to do. Support the Bulldogs, okay? I think that's it. Thank you, Mr. Love. Thank you, Alex and AJ, for recording for us.